Today's podcast is brought to you by drinkers like you. To help support the show, visit patreon.com/haveadrinkshow.
Today's episode has a dress code. Only board shorts and Hawaiian shirts allowed. We are talking about Tiki Drinks today, so it feels like you should get in the mood. Will this episode only be about kitsch, or are there more to these sweet, strong concoctions? Well, make sure you have your cocktail umbrella ready and join us as we have a drink.
Welcome to Have a Drink, the show where you learn along with us about what you drink. I'm Brittany Walker.
I'm Justin Frazier.
I'm Christopher Walker.
And I'm Casey Price.
Sarah, I just realized I could use a tiki as a drumstick for the cowbell bit.
Right.
It's a good thing there wasn't a drink in that tiki.
Oh, God. You have no idea how much I actually wish I had like a tiki mug. I wouldn't have to put anything in there. I will just drink regular water out of that thing, but it just looks festive.
Yeah.
How's everybody doing?
That great.
Yeah. It seems like we're killing it today.
Just a good beat of silence.
No, we got to see a movie today. We were pretty good. That's great.
Take Emmett out to watch like Citizen Kane, Schindler's List.
Yeah, it's definitely in theaters right now.
Went to see
It's in theater somewhere, I'm sure.
40th anniversary of Showgirls. I don't know how old that movie is.
Probably right, actually. No, we saw the new Mario movie. Is it literally called the Super Mario Brothers movie? I think.
Yes.
It's fantastic.
Super Mario Bros.
Yeah. It was so much fun. Like so much fun. Like if you've ever played the games really at all and actually enjoyed them, then you would love the movie. And the casting is perfection.
With the music and everything, if you've consumed pop culture in the last 40 years, you will find it mildly entertaining.
I feel like what that movie needs to have is Mario charging in to save someone while I Need a Hero is playing. Then
I'm really surprised that wasn't a thing.
Just like throwing fireballs.
It's literally a thing. That's the training montage.
Oh, it is, isn't it?
Yeah, Peach is like whipping his flabby ass into shape and putting him to shame, and then suddenly I Need a Hero starts playing, and I was like, because it's the only appropriate song.
It's so good.
Spoilers for the Mario movie.
Yeah,
That's in the trailers.
But
maybe that's why I thought of it, because in my head it's just like I've not. Well, and no, actually, I haven't really watched any of the trailers for it either. So,
yeah, it actually made me like Peach, because like usually I'm just like, all right, Peach, I get it.
No, she's the only competent one. Like that, I was going into it. That was my demand. I was like, the only way this works is that everyone else is an absolute failure, and Peach is the only competent one. She's like, we need you to save us, Mario, and then she's like, I'll do it. she's like, you suck so bad, I'll do it.
I was gonna say that's what you kind of have to do, since her entire characterization is damsel in distress.
Yeah,
that's not
which is definitely not a thing in this movie, really.
I don't know. It's so the in-game cameos that they have are all fantastic, and then in the end, you're like, but what about this one and this one and this one and this one?
I did see in a trailer that they brought in Donkey Kong, and I was like, this should not be. Donkey Kong has his own mythos.
Oh,
I know that he starts out. It's the first Mario game, but he's not saving Peach in that. He's saving Pauline,
who's also in the game or in the movie.
Yeah, they worked it in really well, because they went into the whole like there's a lot of different galaxies and
sure
hands, and I'm like
the Kongs are central and great. You even get a short snippet of the DK. Donkey Kong.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good.
Fred
Armisen
as Cranky Kong is pretty great.
Yeah, I highly recommend everybody see it. And like, so the thing I saw like on Twitter, because he had sent me the thing initially.
Oh, the Rotten Tomatoes.
There's like 56% critic score, and then now it's 98%
for the viewers.
Score, like audience score, and it's like, yeah, because you're dumb, critics. And Lamar Wilson's tweet was like, he's like, what, these people just, they never experienced happiness, or like, he's like, why? But no, it was so much fun. I really actually hope they make a sequel.
And then we're just gonna go ahead and put it out there that this isn't a spoiler. Kind of is, kind of isn't. I don't know. They let Jack Black write a song.
It's like
Oh.
beat Jack Black.
But Jack Black got to write a Tenacious D style song for the movie.
This
Great.
raises questions of how many cloaca push-ups, how many hemipene push-ups can Bowser do?
It's pretty fantastic though.
Yeah, highly recommend the movie.
Lots of fun. I don't know. We were kind of left raw because the like advertising to death. Oh, go get your commemorative popcorn tin that's Super Mario. Wait in line to get it after the fact. We've already eaten a large bucket of popcorn, and we're like walking out, and I was like, "No, we want that tin. That's pretty awesome."
It's a big question mark block thing.
Yes, the big question mark block, and I'm like, "Okay, that's pretty cool." I was like, "I'll go pay $15 for it." I was like, "I'll just tell them I don't even want the popcorn. I just want $15.
Just
give me the thing."
this.
And they're like, "No." They're like, I see them behind the like everyone in front of me just like burning through this line quick, and they're shaking their heads no. And I was like, "Do they have any?"
Oh,
Sure enough, I get up, like everyone just wanted it, and they're like,
Yeah.
Like the movie's been out like 3 days,
Yeah, they sold them all on day one.
probably,
Yeah, no joke. There were people there. It was a whole group of people.
and they don't have the
In
D&D
costumes.
ones either, because for the D&D ones they had commemorative D20 popcorn tins, and they also had commemorative tankards that you could get your drinks in.
Speaking of, I went and watched Dungeons and Dragons in the last couple weeks,
Yes.
which is also it's a fun romp for. I'm not saying it's The Godfather or anything, but it's
Oh, you don't mean the Vin Diesel early aughts?
Oof.
I can't
but
remember
it
what it was called.
I think it was just called Dungeons and Dragons,
It was
wasn't
like something the King. I can't remember.
it? But no, that it's a fun movie. It's set in Forgotten Realms, so they have like a lot of like little Easter eggs, little references. Yeah, they're in the city of Neverwinter, and at first it's like Hugh Grant's character has taken over Neverwinter, and I'm like, wait, what about Lord? It's like apparently Lord Neverember has fallen asleep. There you go. Like, oh, cool. You're just ready to answer nerd questions right off the bat. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Look, they knew who was coming to see that movie.
Yep. They went, no, we got to make some stuff airtight before the nerds come in. But they have some fun ways that they kind of play with how they do like kind of magic in the thing. They've got like a wild mage sorcerer. So like his powers are kind of unpredictable, and he casts the wrong spells from time to time. They've got Chris Pine is a bard. He's just there being charming and handsome.
Barding it up.
That's one of those things that like Chris Pine's there being Chris Pine.
Yeah. And
being there, making you want those dreamy cheekbones. Slice oranges on those babies.
And then who else is in there that I think does a really, really fun job? I will say one of the highlights of the movie is they have a prolonged sequence with the Speak with Dead spell. They have the thing that you would expect to happen when you get 5 questions that you're going to ask a dead person. They dig up a corpse and they go, he's like, I'll answer your questions. Anyone have any other questions? That is, I was like no. Did you think I was talking to you? That is question 3. And then they get into an issue too, where it's like, and it's like, that was only 4 questions. You got to ask another one. We've got what we need from him. Look at him. He's just there. Just uncomfortable now. He can't sleep until we get it.
Okay. That's almost I'll say that's better than the Hellboy.
Just strapped to the back like shut up.
Where he's got a noose. He takes the noose that it was hung with. And it's just like using it as a strap.
Yes.
Carrying it around.
It's also a great bit. There's a lot of fun you have when you talk with corpses, I guess.
So where the corpse is just calling him a red monkey the whole time. Insulting him. It's like, just put me back to kill me again. And then it falls into like a bottomless pit and is screaming, I was better off dead.
Apparently, they made D&D character sheets for all the main characters in the movie. I haven't looked them up. One of them I know is like I think like their druid maybe is like a level 15 druid, and I'm looking at this going like, I don't think the rest of the party is that strong. But it is pretty fun. They do have a weird thing where you come into the movie and it starts up and it's like the cast there, and you can tell like a couple of them are pretty much there at gunpoint. As they're like, "You're the real heroes for coming to the movies, watching it the way it was meant to be seen." And you're like, "Oh, okay. Look, I could do without this. I don't need to be congratulated for showing up. I came to watch a movie because I wanted to sit down in a quiet place with popcorn."
I came to watch a movie because this is the only place I can see it right now.
Yes.
Whereas we were regretting it kind of most of the time because Emmett he's a bit extra, and it's Mario on a 60-foot screen in front of him.
Yeah.
So
It's down, he's like, run, Mario.
There's no screaming inside.
Well, when they end up in the, what do they call them? Wherever Bowser and all the evil stuff is, he gets scared, so he just like collapses and like slide because it's leather chairs, so he just slides out of the chair into the floor with a big bump.
All the noise,
and he's down on the floor going, scared, It's like making a big show of it. We're like, dude, stop.
This. No offense, I love your child dearly, but also this is why I go to like matinee shows on Sundays.
Yeah, no, that's. Yeah.
I show up before the kids come into the movies. I'm like, no, we're just going to come in. We're going to watch this. Ideally, no one else is here. There were still people there for the movie last Sunday, but,
to be fair, it was mostly people with
their kids.
With
definitely that.
I was figuring when you went to that, like, no, I bet you there's enough kids there that people are like, yeah, this is just going to be kind of par for the course for everyone here.
There was definitely a kid younger than him, like in the row in front of us, I think.
And behind us.
Casey, what movies have you gone to go see?
None.
Oh, okay.
Although tomorrow I may go watch both of these because
it's legit Mario movie. Just do it.
I'll be by myself. Kids will be with grandparents.
I do love a double header. I do love that double feature. You just sit there and like, no, you know what? I did that one time and I did it like in 2 different theaters because I couldn't get it like literally back-to-back viewings.
Yep.
I just went, I have just enough time to drive across town to get to the other one in time. Let's go.
So, okay, before we move this on, I've got to that just reminded me of the before times I missed when we could go. I mean, we're talking about Chris Pine even. So we used to go to, what was a Cinemark? Or no, what was it? There was one
Regal.
No, the one over in Florence wasn't a Regal.
Oh.
AMC?
No, AMC is where we go now.
It was a Cinemark.
It was a Cinemark, but it had like the whole top tier was like blocked off, and it was where you could get dinner at your seat and all this stuff. The bougie. And we'd always go there for huge marathon showings. When the MCU was in its infancy and there were only like 3 or 4 movies, they'd be like, we're going to show all 4 movies leading up to the next one. Or when they were doing the new Star Trek movies, they would start showing them in big showing marathons and have themed cocktails and all this stuff.
Yeah, that was great too, the themed cocktails.
I miss that. You're talking about, catching everything in like one afternoon. That's what we used to do. And I'm like,
my
man,
ADD won't let me.
no one does that now. Man.
Yeah.
Anyway, I know Casey has the best story of all of us.
Probably.
I haven't seen a movie, but I did go see a bunch of 90s bands last night.
By the way, I was showing all kinds of people the coming attractions that you sent because I was just like, this is a diverse, and everyone had the same reaction to the very first image. It was like, I want to go check out micro wrestling.
It's almost sold out. I swear to you, it is almost sold out.
No doubt in my mind.
There's not a like. It is entirely a curiosity thing at this point. Like, I want to know what this is. Is this what I think it is?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Well, I'm just like, how, like, because one of them looks like he's like dressed up to look like the Undertaker. So like, I'm wondering like what's going on with this.
They're 100% into it, and like everyone, they're like, we know what the gag is. We're not, but we're gonna sell this thing 120%.
I mean,
That's-
wrestling does well when they come to Pikeville in the first
Mhm.
place.
Right.
So you add a kitsch to it or a
Yeah.
gimmick, oh, it's going to go well.
That's the thing. Like, it's the gimmick is like I'm just very curious. I'd like to know more.
Right, and you wouldn't go watch a WCW, NWO, or Monday Night Raw at the local establishment, but
Probably not.
you would be interested in this.
Yeah.
Brings in a whole new crowd.
If this was like, late 90s, early 2000s, and it was like a WWE, WCW, and kind of thing.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a decent chance that I might try to at least go watch it. Although I have to imagine it'd be very loud, and young me would not enjoy that. So anyway,
So, bands last night, Color Me Bad, All for One was there. Let's
Yeah.
see.
Feeling it.
Tone Loc.
Oh, yeah.
So all these like
Funky
hip-hop
Cole
bands.
Medina.
Oh yeah. And so
Did he do the Ace Ventura?
I don't know. What's the Ace Ventura?
Tone Loc did the Ace Ventura thing, didn't he?
I don't know.
Because he has the crazy voice, right?
Yeah. He's like really low pitch.
Yeah, okay. So he did a whole for the, I think, first, because he's in the first Ace Ventura movie, and he did like a credits track for it.
That's funny. So the headliner was Vanilla Ice. And so I discovered last night that the actual venue that I usually go to doesn't just sell Budweiser, Bud Light, and that's it. On events that aren't like Disney on Ice, they sell shots. So
oh no,
I got wasty pants while watching these people, and then had to go to the brewery to sober up. Since it's right across the road, I went over there and like basically just sat around while I got sober to drive, and then was good to go.
You went over there and got a burger and
water, drank a bunch of water, and I'm like, hey, ignore that your boss is here wasted. Just we'll go about our day.
So obviously, Ice Ice Baby gets played.
It does,
but
as well.
But there's. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Chris.
How many times did he do it?
I just recall one.
Okay.
The closing thing, but
I have to assume of the two notable Vanilla Ice songs that anyone would know, the other one had to be, because I had to ask immediately, like, did he do the TMNT 2 thing? Did you start hearing "Go Ninja, Go Ninja, Go"?
Yep, exactly, exactly like that. Second song he did.
Oh my god!
Which brought out a life-size Michelangelo actor.
Wearing, he sent us the picture or a whole GIF of it, and I'm just like, that's not just like a cheap costume.
No.
That is like, it looks almost like the screen.
It's like movie quality.
Yeah,
like a Jim Henson animatronic headpiece with a.
So the guy doing like all kinds of like, like club moves, but also a few like little, I don't know, kick ups and things like that. So he wasn't like a true martial artist doing all these things, but it was, he was kind of doing just like this cool little imitation.
Let's not stretch it too far. It was just a stage hand.
Bro,
they draw straws for who's going to put it on.
Yeah, that guy was like the one that was moving in speakers earlier the day, so he was a little sore.
There's a different set of muscle groups for loading than there is for doing kip ups. I guarantee you, no stage hand is doing a kip up.
So show ends. I go back over to the brewery, sober up a little bit, and I don't stay until we close, but I stay long enough to where I'm like good to go. Which also is about the same amount of time that Vanilla Ice needed to be ready to go back to the hotel after the show. I'm sure there's some level of like, oh, we wait for the crowd to leave. We wait. Mm-hmm. This is enough time for everybody to go. Now we can go. So in front of the brewery, there's a one-way street that passes in front of it and the exposition center as well. And that's the entrance and exit to the backstage. So I was walking out to the car and a car pulls out of the expo center, and like many crazy drunk people do, they started driving the wrong way up the street. So I throw my arms up like, what the heck are you doing? Like that whole like you're driving and you want the person in front of you to know how much you think an idiot they are. So I gave that expression. And then while my arms are up like that, I look over and it's Vanilla Ice in the passenger seat driving by. I'm like, well, I guess he's not from around here.
Yeah.
And so they were driving back to the hotel, and sure enough, I go out the right way and drive, and there his car's in the hotel. I'm like, okay, I guess so.
Yeah.
So
I gotta know which hotel. Let me guess. They went and stayed at the Mark, didn't they?
oh my goodness, could you imagine? Oh, he would have a rap about that. No, it was of course the Holiday Inn, the only one. Or no, sorry, not Holiday Inn, Hampton Inn.
Yeah.
Holiday Inn's better than that Hampton Inn. Oh God.
One of the few that we've got left in Pikeville now.
Because the only decent one, they're like, no, let's sell that to the college.
Oh yeah, this is the same hotel that's also attached to the old Hilton Garden Inn that the college you used to work for bought.
Yeah.
So it was kind of an odd little.
They just look. You can be in that hotel because that's where we stay when we come there. You're walking down the hallway in the hotel, and then suddenly you just hit a cinder block wall.
Yeah.
It's just like left, right. There's a pool, brick wall, and it's like,
Yeah, interesting Friday night.
So
Yeah.
your experience, the image reminded me, and we may need to talk more about like just all the things that are happening with it. But there's 2 new movie trailers. Well, technically 3, but one of the 3 new movie trailers that actually have me like unreasonably excited is the new Ninja Turtle movie. The art on that looks so sick.
They took a massive page from Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
And they needed to. It looks great.
Oh my gosh.
And the other huge thing, the major plus they did, is they actually made them act like teenagers.
And sound like teenagers.
They're like actual just teens. They're not like, oh, these are, mid-20s trying to pretend to be teens. It's like, no, these are just goofy ass kids.
Not just stoners. That's
yeah.
Yeah.
They are actually just like goofy kids doing goofy kid things.
So
It's
in that movie,
I did from that trailer. I was like, I don't. I have a lot of feelings about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So it's one of those like, okay, we're going more Saturday morning cartoon than we're going original comics where they're just straight up murdering people.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. Just
calibrating
calibrating the vibe.
Yeah.
Well, Seth Rogen's doing it, so
That
is
doesn't
that like Wheeze in the Juice?
Yeah. So that's obviously Across the Spider-Verse trailer. Great. All the stuff about that. And then surprisingly, especially after seeing the breakdown videos, the Barbie movie, I am
oh my god.
actually unreasonably
If you
excited.
haven't seen the trailer for the Barbie movie,
I saw it's out. I haven't watched it yet.
no, you have to.
Although
watch.
I did see someone, and I have to imagine it's not the music that's playing, but someone had a picture up of Barbie driving down the road, and they had Dragula lyrics.
I saw that too. That is not what she was listening.
But I saw that, I was like, I know that's not there, but man, if they had that in the movie, I'd be like, yeah, all right, come on, Barbie, let's take a different feel here. Barbie's deep down is big in the Rob Zombie.
It's not what you think it's going to be at all. They're like, it's the Barbie movie, and they're doing it completely in the vein of like
they just are leaning into the.
I saw the comparison of the Lego movie because I guess it's being one of the guys from the Lego movie,
which makes sense. Which is also funny because Will Ferrell is still like essentially the same character.
Yeah, he's the CEO of Hasbro, or no, Mattel.
Yeah.
But yeah, all the Kens end up fighting on a beach, and they kept talking about having a beach off.
And then I'm gonna beat you off. I'm gonna beat you off.
Oh my goodness!
Then Michael Cera is like suddenly in the background with way too much makeup on, just like giving everyone weird looks, and you're just like, "Did I do LSD? Like, what is going on?"
Like Ryan Gosling as Ken is perfection because Ryan Gosling's awesome anyway.
And then
Simu Liu, Shang-Chi is the another Ken, and he's the one who like really like threatening Ryan Gosling's character. It's so good.
And then one of the Barbies is clearly the Barbie that's been drawn all over and had her hair
Yes, the
burned
splits
off.
Barbie.
And fantastic.
It's Kate McKinnon.
I was gonna say, does she look like Cynthia, Angelica's doll from the
Yes.
Rugrats,
Yes.
where it's like
Yes.
she's like combed the hair out of the thing? That
Yeah.
took me years to catch that joke, by the way. I was like a grown ass person watching it, catching an old episode of Rugrats on, and I was like, oh, I get it. Angelica has just combed hair out of the doll. That's not how the doll is supposed to look.
Yeah.
That makes a lot more sense now.
It's,
Child of me was just like, this is a weird toy they've given this girl.
it's more troubling when you realize, oh, it's because her mother has ignored her entire existence, and she takes it out as this neuroses of combing Cynthia's hair, and it's gotten to the point that she's combed Cynthia's hair out. Just a dark Rugrats twist you may have
It is.
overlooked.
Yeah. But anyway, yes, those trailers and the movies and everything's just a lot of the good things happening with that.
All right. We've got a very long episode we need to get to.
Yeah,
We
and
keep,
we're
yep.
we're just talking about ourselves. Blah 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 blah. Hopefully that sounder's ready.
Sparkling Muscatel, one of the finest wines of Idaho.
Would you taste it for us, please?
I mean,
Oh. Excellent choice.
Should be for 95 cents.
wrong one, but I'll take it.
I
Yeah.
just realized it was wrong like halfway in, and I was like, "We're here."
I was just
Yeah,
like,
we're good.
well, she played it this time, so I'm just gonna go with it.
Yeah, this is good now.
Yeah, I had an idea for a sounder for this, and I was like, it's too late. Think of it as soon as the opening credit music hits. I was like,
We could have gone with some Beach Boys. That would have been the perfect transition from the Barbie thing.
it would have been. But let's just go ahead and dive on in, because otherwise we're just going to keep rambling. And I cannot keep drinking straight rum.
That's where we're at on many fronts right now.
Sums up many lives.
It's important to note that while some of the best-selling rums in the U.S. may be spiced or flavored, there are many other varieties out there which are more classic examples of the drink, which have, it's not to say that it has a monoculture of flavor. Rum is a complex liquor that can be extensively changed with minor variances in ingredients and processes that, and is referred to as the most diverse spirit in the world.
See Mama Juana?
Sure. Pardon. The four treatments that we will examine today will be the base sugars used, the distillation, and aging and final treatments. First, the sugar source. First and one of the most influential variances in making rum is what the sugar source started as. It is, in its simplest form, rum is nothing more than sugar combined with water and yeast and then fermented and distilled. By adding the sugar source used, the flavor of the final product will vary significantly. The classic source is molasses. It slowly explodes and absorbs the city of Boston. A byproduct of sugar production from sugarcane. There's so many things that are like this where I'm just like, yeah, look, a lot of things we have is because we looked at like, oh, we have waste. Just use every part of the buffalo, guys.
It's more of a how do we make this not a waste product and make it a product of its own? How do we make more money from this?
Every part of the buffalo.
The modern NBA term is value added.
In the early days of sugar production in the Caribbean, this byproduct was dumped or given to slaves and cattle for cheap calories until it was discovered it could be fermented.
So
About right.
through most
Sorry, cows, you've had it too good for too long.
it's like most of history is aristocracy had this waste or sub product. They were just like, oh, the slaves and the underlings can have this, and then they actually tried it and like, shit's actually delicious.
Lobster,
Yeah, I was going to say,
crab
like,
legs.
we will not eat this bottom-feeding crustacean. Then followed by
Oysters.
someone like,
Brisket, like
Mm.
all these great things that were just like, more like, ugh.
What we've learned is poor people know how to cook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, some do. We don't.
Oh.
Not in this house.
Well, rum made from molasses, rums that are made from molasses are sweeter in flavor and have a more vanilla-like aroma in their profile. The origin of molasses really isn't important when making rum of this type, but with this type of sugar, has very little of the original terroir from the country of origin. It's not expecting to get into terroir in a discussion about rum.
Yeah, not with rum.
I mean, rum already is just like by the time you have a rum barrel, like that thing has gone through at least 1,000 different.
Who was it that brought that up? They're like, look, rum barrels are like duct taped together at that point.
That's like they are there because they are cheap and readily available, not because
hopes and dreams are holding those things together.
Anyway, this is leading to a large amount of international trade of molasses for rum production. When looking at rums with the flavor of the country shining through, looking towards fresh sugarcane rums. These rums use fresh juice of the sugarcane plant instead of molasses. These rums are common in Martinique with the agricole rums and Brazil's cachaça. I feel like one of these C's actually needs that little symbol at the bottom, but I don't know how to.
And it's not on my keyboard.
Right. I was going to say, I don't know how to put it there. That's when I do a Google search somewhere, find it, print it that way, and then just copy paste it so the thing shows up.
Just use a character map.
What's that, Brittany?
You don't know how to use the character map is what's...
All right.
I know it's in there. I can go in there and try and find it, but it is too much work to try to get in there and find like the thing. If I'm going to have to use it 1,000 times, it's a lot easier for me just to do a Control F and then just Control Paste. I mean, just paste it in.
Okay.
A less processed product. These rums take on the character driven by the climate of the region in which they are produced. Ah, yes, the Great Alaskan rums. These may be influenced by weather, soil quality, and climate, as well as the amount of rainfall received in the season. These rums can be a bit more funky, ranging in flavors from overripe banana to gasoline, just based on growing conditions.
What kind of cocktail needs to taste like gasoline?
I could think of a few that probably could. Actually, I'm
coming up with a Mad Max one in my head.
See, I'm thinking of just regular. I'm just thinking of like 151, which I would use to when I had that when I was bartending and someone complained that their drink wasn't strong enough, I just pour that straight down their straw.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Yeah. They're like, oh yeah, that guy the kick it needed. Yeah, I'm sure it did.
So
yeah, now you made it strong. He's like, glad you liked it.
What we've learned is if you're with Bob at work, he's going to tell you he's doing something and really not.
Yes.
Between the rum incident and the hey, I'm adjusting your levels on stage and you really aren't.
Yes.
That's what we learned. Yeah.
No, look, theater is like the people who are doing their job know what they're talking about and the public do not. That is ingrained in my brain at this point. The customer is always wrong. You just have to make them think that they were catered to.
Unless you're the Ron Swanson in the Lowe's, where he's like, "Sir, I know more than you."
Well, that's us in a liquor store.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, that's the
Can I help? How many times has someone walked up to you and said, "Hey, can I help you in a liquor store?" And you just walk by, "I know more than you," and you just keep walking.
That's why I don't go to Jungle Gyms anymore. Is because either I get stopped or am compelled to assist people in the liquor department because they are not being helped adequately enough, and someone needs to help these poor lost souls who are wandering around an international market store asking every employee if they stock Dark Lord because they heard they could get 3 Floyds there, and so basically we just hang out in that aisle. Because every 5 minutes someone's going to come down there looking for it.
It's me in the Scotch section at a liquor store, and they've I hear the employee go, yeah, I really don't really know much about this. Our guy is not in today that really handles our whiskeys. I think Johnny Walker's should probably be pretty smoky. And I just walk over and go, excuse me, let me take you to the Islas.
We're gonna go follow me on a journey. Tangent side. a bit of me kind of died. One of the ways I survived COVID and the lockdowns was like making dream vacations.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them was going to Scarborough in the Orkney Islands, north of Scotland, and saw one of my old cohorts from I don't remember exactly which one. It was from when I was in Northern California. One of the people I was stationed in the forest with, and he is currently in the Orkneys and was posting all these great, awesome pictures. And I was just like, damn it, bastard, stole my vacation.
Well, let's get back to the topic. The last and slightly more complex category is the Jamaican Dunder Pit process. That sounds
pretty Star Warsy sounding thing.
Oh no, I'm picturing a distiller up above a large hole in the ground, handing down a basket down to someone down at the bottom, going, "It puts the rum in the basket." While Jamaican rum still uses molasses, they create a pit in the ground lined with wood called the Dunder Pit. Dunder Pit. 2 rums enter, 1 rum leaves.
Yes, exactly.
Where the rum is left to ferment over months instead of days. They develop funky flavors from the bacteria in addition to the yeast. These pits get added back to them, the leftovers from the previous rum runs, and on the still, as well as various fruit peels and rotting bananas.
So
rotting bananas.
In my head, I know they're in their own separate vessels for this process, but in my head, I'm just seeing them dump it into a dirty hole in the ground.
I think that's
actually it.
That's it. Yeah. So let me see if I can find an image of them, but it's not like fancy at all. It's like you dig a hole.
Like they're dumping the liquid just into dirt.
We're gonna go get a shovel.
It's a hole in the ground lined with wood.
Yeah, we're gonna get some wood. There's plenty of it lying around now from all the felled trees from a bad windstorm a few months back. And we're just gonna go dig a pit. I'm just gonna start pouring molasses in there, and we'll see what we get.
Yep, that's pretty much it. I'm looking at one right now. This one we did. This one is literally just like covered over with grass because it's out of use. But the other one is they've got some bricks lining the outside of it, but otherwise it's a pretty dirty, nasty looking pit. I'll see if I can send the image over.
It's kind of foamy. Oh God.
Yeah.
Oh, frogs are mating in it. You know.
This article calls it muck.
Oh, so who's really wanting this now?
Okay. Yeah.
This makes for great.
Well, this process is slightly similar to the sour mash process used in the bourbon industry.
Yeah, I say the top image on here. I'm like, those look pretty familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like so, where the current bourbon industry will build like, oh, this is a 3-story tower fermenter that's open top.
Okay.
They just bury them.
Yeah. So, okay, looking at this, this is basically what they were doing at OFC. Only, that was complete copper.
Oh, yeah.
Well, rums made this way are typically not sold unblended, as the flavors would be too strong. You'd get all that rotted banana in there. They are instead
try some.
Right. I mean, whenever we hear about some weird thing like this, someone's like, I want to try it. I don't know if it's going to be good, but I want to try it.
You want the spit fermented beer.
Not that one. God. Have a good show, guys.
He wants the one that has Calgione's spit.
Chicha.
The chicha, yeah.
God. I quit. I'm not doing any more episodes. I'm not even going to read anymore. I'm just going to sit here.
It was a matter of time.
And stew like that spit.
Oh God, I hate you. I hate you so much.
Next time we're out of like enzyme and I need a really dry beer, I'll just chew up some
God.
corn.
Oh God. Can we please not? Anyway, much like other spirits, rum doesn't specify that the still type must be used to produce the rum. Therefore, rums can be also be influenced by the style of still used to distill the product. As we get into some distillation methods, the oldest method is the pot still, where rums are distilled one or more times using a simple pot still method. This is also called batch distillation, as each batch must be distilled. Then the leftover dunder is removed, and a fresh batch of rum wine. Rum wine.
I could get down with some rum wine.
Right? I mean, that one, I'm like, yeah, all right.
Speaking my language right there.
Give me that rum wine. The rum wine will be added to the still. There are superstitions and romances surrounding the shapes of these stills and the flavors they produce. It's actually somewhat true, as the general shape will determine how the final product turns out. Most of the difference is how the vapors behave in the still at the rate the distillate is produced. This is where we get into the no, you got to bang in all the same.
Yeah, that's the the general shape does, but probably not that small dent. Unless, if it's in a really nice place, it might.
Just, it kind of collects in spots. But anyway, after 2 passes the pot still, the distillate comes in around 70% ABV and can be considered rum. Sorry, it was a drink break. I had to. Still trying to recover from a few minutes ago. Some distillers, however, will run the rum more times in order to create a more neutral rum flavor. Take it out of flavor country. Most of the pot still rums available will be higher in price and a little harder to find, as they are typically more boutique producers. The Plantation brand produces a few pot still rums, but it's important to look at the specs, because they're not all of Plantation's rums are pot still made. This process is the oldest and historical version, but it's very inefficient, leading to many commercial distillers to use the next distillation method, the column or continuous method. The column still was created in the Industrial Revolution of the 1800s, and the column still allows rum producers to create. The column still allowed the rum producers to make much more rum than before, when the pot still producers were limited to about 20K liters or less in a year, just because of the logistics of the pot still turnover rates.
Yeah, I gotta say, from doing bourbon distillery tours, it's honestly, I'm sure I'll be proven wrong, but I'm gonna say it's kind of a thing of quality when you look at whiskeys and who's using pot stills and who's using column stills. And I promise you, most of the time, from ones I've seen, the better reviewed and more sought after brands use pot stills.
I mean, there's also, I think pot stills are pretty common with, I believe, Irish whiskeys. Or maybe
pot still. I
think
Ireland
it's been a year. Yeah, because it's been a few years since we've done those. I might have it backwards.
Because the coffee still came from Ireland originally.
I thought it came from Scotland.
Was it Scotland? Oh well. Either way, there's an episode on it you can check out.
Yeah,
we go into the whole difference, but one is definitely more industry friendly, and one is more craft beverage friendly, if you will.
Yes, it's kind of that. I want to say the difference between the bourbon trail and isn't there like a craft bourbon trail now? Like there's 2 different ones.
Yeah, I think so.
Either way.
Anyway, the column stills are going to be a little less characteristic than pot still rums. While they are more efficient, they are certainly faster. The amount of flavor that comes out of the original sugar is reduced. These rums are more closely related to vodka than pot still rums because of the efficiency in getting alcohol out of the wash. Many of the cheaper mass-produced rums will be from this category, including Don Q, Cruzeran, and the international rum Havana Club.
Ah, Havana Club.
That's a whole nother story in itself that we need to get into about the Havana Club rums.
We've brought that up before, haven't we?
And the name, yeah, like I think when we were, or at least when we were talking about making these episodes, we were talking about Bacardi.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what. So that a funny thing, another aside and kind of a look behind the curtain. We usually get lost in like 2-hour conversations just trying to plan episodes when we start entertaining ourselves with little historical tidbits and things that we already know.
Yeah.
And that's when we stop after an hour and we're like, that would make a good episode.
Now that we've written it.
Yeah.
Did anybody record that?
Nope.
Like, oh, we just gave it the whole thing a test run. So let's script that out and put some jokes in and we're good to go. So the column still process is not all bad because the lack of character coming from column still rums, they're excellent for making spiced rums and flavored rums, which will receive their flavor from added ingredients rather than the original spirit.
Mahoy.
Mahoy there, Justin.
Mahoy, Curtis.
Column still, they even do that joke anymore? I haven't watched Great Night in a while.
They don't often hit into the captain jokes much.
Okay.
So
Column still rums are also great to use as a blending agent, which brings us to our third category, blended rums. And we have a fabled one here that I refuse to drink because we call it the Have a Drink blended rum. There is a single bottle of it remaining.
No.
Oh, do you have some more?
It is not blended.
Oh, it's not.
No, and I can explain after this section why it is not blended.
It's our bastardization where we just poured a whole bunch of different rums.
Oh, okay. Maybe that was the case.
Casey's like,
I remembered it a little bit differently.
I have so
you were drunk at the time.
Another story time. I'm good at doing these, aren't I? I mean, not good at it. I'm just bad for doing it. So, on our first anniversary, we went back to Buffalo Trace where we got married, and I bought a little. They used to sell little oak barrels, charred barrels that had never been used.
They used to sell much larger barrels too, but that had been used. But
those became a boutique item. Anyway, I figured out they could get a lot more than $80 for them. Is what I'm getting at. So we bought this little never been used, fresh white oak fresh charred barrel. I think it held like 2 liters. Because the whole thing was like, make your own bourbon at home. And I was like, cool. And I brought it home and it sat for a couple of years and we never did anything with it. And then we were over at Casey's and it was like, why don't we just make our own blended rum? And we just poured like whatever rums and liquor that was sitting around into this thing and then let it sit.
So I remembered it as, did we give those to a fine person who may have taken those and redistilled them?
No.
It was just straight in?
It just came. I think you may have whipped something else up that we poured in it.
You mean that other kind gentleman?
Yes.
Okay.
Someone supplied something else that went in it, and then all I know is it was atrocious.
Yes. Yes. Okay. That is a blended rum. Yes.
Okay.
When there are multiple column and pot still liquors combined together.
Okay.
Then that is a blended rum.
We have a Maker's Mark bottle full that could be poured into smaller bottles. If anyone, no, I'm kidding. You don't want this. It could probably fuel jets. Anyway,
Jets Pizza would fuel me right now.
Oh, God. Blended rums take a combination of pot still rums with stronger flavors and aromas, then combine them with neutral column still rums to create a product which has both flavor and is cheaper to produce. Yeah, that's pretty much what we Common examples of these rums include Appleton, Mount Gay, Pussers, and Maine Plantation brands. Okay. Basically everything I was like, oh, these are the best rums you can get. And now it's like, I'm like, oh, well. These rums are going to be where most rum explorers will find their first rums to enjoy.
It's a lot of rums in one sentence.
Yeah, it is. Let rum flavor shine through.
Yeah, this is where most people like start their rum journey. And they're not bad. They're great rums to like enjoy for flavor, but also to mix in a drink. Like it's that sort of separation. And we'll get into the next. You'll talk about the next part here in just a second. But aging has a lot of effect on it too. So it depends on where you're looking for that flavor to come from. Whether you want it to come from the actual flavor of the distillate, or are you looking for it to shine through from things that you're doing to it after it's distilled. That's kind of the difference there. This is why this show's better than live news. I did some research on some various distilleries while we were talking here, and even most distilleries that are commercial, like you're going to find these products on your local liquor store shelf. I'm not talking about like you go to the distillery and that's the only bottle you can buy. These are the ones that will be producing like large amounts. You can find it across the country. They're going to use it, even in the situations where they say they're using a pot still, they will use some level of column still in that distillation as well. And I looked at the one that I thought would be most notable for this, which is Woodford Reserve, that talks so much about their 3 pot stills.
Oh, yeah.
They're a blender.
Yep.
They do column still and blend it with the pot still.
Oh, you walk right past the column still.
Yeah. So
it's in the same room. Like, they have them framed with like there's like a stone fire boiler in there and like all this, like, because it is a very historic, site.
Yeah.
And then right there, it's the column still. It's like, well, yeah, the 3 pot stills it's like a massive photo opportunity. And then they even walk you over to the column still. If they're currently running, when we were there, they were currently running through. And they're like, oh, you can come over here and you can actually see it going. And I was just like, okay.
Yep. So that's like, I don't know if like the general public may not know that they're mutually exclusive, possibly. Maybe that's the case. Be like, they think that the pot still is part of the process, but they don't even care to potentially. But in order to make enough, you got to blend it. Otherwise, you're having to charge a lot more for it.
Well, with that beautiful intro, aging has a large impact on the final rum product. Many countries require rum to be aged for at least 1 year. Ah, yes. When your spirit's aged a year. This aging is commonly preferred in used bourbon casks, but may also be performed in other types of wooden casks or stainless steel tanks. The aging process determines the color of the rum. When aged in oak casks, it becomes dark, whereas rum aged in stainless steel tanks remains virtually colorless. Who'd have thunk it?
That stainless steel has a real color that it imparts.
Adds a real medicinal
tussin.
Yeah, tussin flavor. Due to the tropical climate common to most rum-producing areas, rum matures at a much higher rate than is typical for whiskey or brandy. An indication of this higher rate is the angel's share, or the amount of product lost to evaporation. While products aged in France or Scotland see about 2% loss each year, tropical rum producers may see as much as 10%. Oh, God. Oh. Yeah, that's when it's like, yeah, one year is basically all a company can stomach for loss. Wow. I didn't realize it was that high. After aging, rum is normally blended to ensure a consistent flavor. The final step in the rum making process. That's final in most things. Yeah, there's not. I mean, they are quite tasty, but I very much understand why most bourbons and whiskeys are blended. Yeah, for consistency. During blending, light rums may be filtered to remove any color gained during aging. For dark rums, caramel may be added for color. And that just about all.
So you talk there about the amount of time that the tropical rums will see. There's this crazy thing in the rum world where the name on it can say this is a Jamaican rum, right? And so really to be a Jamaican rum, it has to be distilled in Jamaica, but it doesn't have to be aged its entire time in Jamaica.
Could be in Bahama.
Come on, pretty mama.
Mm-hmm. Key Largo, Montego.
We could go. But that rum will spend a couple years in Jamaica in the barrel, be put on a boat, shipped up to another country that's north of it, age a few more years, and they can put an age statement on that even later or longer than what it is. It could go, this is a 5-year rum, but it only spends 2 of those years in Jamaica and still be called a Jamaican rum.
Is this a Jefferson's kind of situation where, well, it spent a few months around the island of Jamaica, so we can label it Jamaican, right?
I thought you were talking about the sitcom. I thought you were talking about Sherman Hensley. And I was like, wait, are we talking about like the rum's moving on up? Where are we going?
I mean, yeah, it was moving on.
I got you, Chris. I knew where you were going with that one. I also, in that same moment, had a thought. I wonder what the tax implications would be as it's being shipped. And is it cheaper? Because Kentucky just changed the tax law. But is it cheaper to say, okay, let's distill it here, age a year here, pay the taxes on it as if it's here for a year, put it on a boat for 7 more years, and not have to pay those yearly taxes to the federal government for aging while it's on the boat in the middle of the ocean, just running back and forth?
I mean, the upkeep on the boat has got to be crazy.
I have some legal tax advice for you, Casey. Take to the seas.
Take to the seas.
Arr.
They can't tax you there. This is not legal advice. Please consult your CPA.
In general,
there ain't no law like naval law.
The admiral's share. All right. In general, you can separate rum into 3 categories: lightly aged for 1 to 4 years, aged for 4 to 14 years, and long aged for 15 plus years. I've never had a long aged rum, and I am now curious. While these categories are in no way standardized across international borders or by each producer, they are generally a good way to determine what kind of aging profile a rum may have. All right. Lightly aged rums may have a light wood character, but some of these are even charcoal filtered post-aging to reduce color and flavor.
Remember that most rums have to be aged at least a year. If you want a rum that doesn't have the wood character, but you still legally have to age it a year, maybe you're thinking of it as a bad byproduct, and you're just getting it out of there by charcoal filtering it.
I had one of my other rum options that I was considering drinking today is a white rum that is a 3-year rum, and it is charcoal filtered.
Yep.
So I was like,
it's going to be what?
This is honestly, this works real well in a lot of cocktail mixing. I'll say that.
Okay. Talk about that rum real quick. I know it's not the one you're drinking, but I want you just say the name of it real quick.
It's El Dorado.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
For a minute there, it looked like a different rum, but El Dorado.
It does still have a little bit of like a vanilla flavor kind of in there, but
yep.
But most of it is like, honestly, I can't remember how much this costs, but I'm kind of like, this would work for a pretty good, like better quality cocktail than like say your Bacardi.
Yeah, and if you're looking to make a daiquiri, that drink looks better when it's light in color and not kind of muddy looking. So you may want the flavor without the color.
I mean, also daiquiris sometimes just look like fruit puree.
Yeah, that's the wrong kind.
I agree.
We'll
no drink should really just be a frozen collection of fruit juice, you shouldn't put scotch in your daiquiris. But
good Lord,
I had to do it one day.
It's a hate crime.
Yeah. Aged rums start to take on a noticeable oak or wood character. Now we're getting flavor country. Spice, vanilla, leather, and woody notes start to come through. So we're getting there. And now we arrive at
They
flavor.
say that and I'll go like, yeah, these are the things I like. Because it's also kind of like bourbon.
These are a few of my favorite things. We just need to rewrite that song for like bourbon. Or no, isn't that basically the fish odor song from that one episode, the musical episode of Bob's Burgers? He sings a whole song about bourbon. It's fantastic if you've not seen that episode.
I don't think I've seen it. Yeah.
Because fish odor, their landlord, is crap, what's his name that does the voice? Kevin Kline.
Oh, sounds
okay.
right.
And he does the voice just as I don't know, he's took on the role as like a joke, and then he's singing this great song about bourbon, and it's just like, okay, this is fully while I'm here. Okay. Anyway, we arrive at flavor country. Long aged rums, which I now have to find, are best enjoyed neat, as these rums are most likely were designed by their producer with that in mind. They have depth of color, flavor, and complexity, and can be more expensive. It is somewhat interesting to note, however, that the rum as a category is quite less expensive than many other brands when looking at price per age. A bottle of Appleton 20-year-old rum is around half the price of a 21-year-old Glenlivet.
Yeah. I mean, they don't have the same
Terroir.
No, I was going to say marketing behind them. Yeah, it doesn't have the same sort of like brand
buzz.
Yeah, I was going to say like prestige that they like to put onto it, but they make there's some really good rums, and I'm certain like I would like I want a 21-year-old bottle of Appleton.
If you like the flavor of wood, you're going to get that out of either rum or scotch. So
yeah. Oh, the one I have
years old.
the one I have today. Spoiler for it is an Appleton, and it's like as I'm drinking it neat, I'm just like, you know what? This is not that dissimilar from me drinking whiskey.
Yeah.
I'll lick barrel staves. Come on, I'm down for it. I want it so woody. I'm worried about splinters. Rum is a very affordable beverage.
You want it so woody that its best friend is Buzz.
Oh, that works on too many levels. Rum is a very affordable beverage, which has not had the same inflation as other long-aged spirits. Now you've just got me wanting some. It is important to look deeply into the age claims of some rums, however. The Iran Zacapa 23 brand has faced legal scrutiny in the U.S. with a class action lawsuit filed in 2021. The rum bottle proudly displays a large red number 23 on the label. The rum itself actually contains a blend of rums aged 6 to 23 years. I would assume that 23 just means that is the oldest in the batch.
But
in Scotch, it's the youngest in the batch.
That's right.
That's true. Yeah.
Okay.
And bourbon the same way.
Yeah. Also, I will say, when we said deeply into the cake, all my brain did was going, how deep is your rum?
All right. The lawsuit claims the branding does not match with the product in the bottle, and it takes more research than what should be required in order to determine the actual age. The rum is actually aged in a Solera process where rum is removed from a barrel and fresh rum is added back, meaning the ages are much more muddled than what the label may explain. True. Okay. That takes everything with a huge grain of salt, and that they need to say that on it. So treatments.
That's why all rum barrels also have mint down the bottle, so they're getting muddled.
Treatments. You have to remember these barrels are treated awfully. They are
poorly. How are the barrels treated? Not well.
No,
it looks like they could be in the cast of Train Spotting.
Oh God.
Oh,
Hard to believe Obi-Wan came from a horrible part of Glasgow.
Look, you too can turn your life around and go from being a
Heroin addict.
heroin addict to a Jedi general to a hobo in a desert. Maybe it's not the best
Heroin
example.
Back to a heroin addict, only not in Scotland. So no treatments. The last major category that influences rum flavor is post-aging treatments. Once a rum is aged, many producers will add additional products back to the product in order to change its flavor profile. One item many producers will add is sugar. Rum
It's
producers
just called a cocktail.
Rum producers will often add sugar back to the final product in order to balance the flavor. If you are on the keto diet, rum is one spirit category you may want to steer clear of, as this is quite common. Brands like Plantation, which is based on the Cognac region of France, claim this is an homage to their heritage, where sugar is added back to cognac in a process called dosage. I mean, isn't the process of dosing also one of those things with like acid?
Well, see, now that I know that there's rum wine, saying that they're basing it on cognac makes me like, oh, okay, sure.
sugar.
Another common treatment is spiced rums. And this is, I can't remember, some YouTube bartender where I had this all laid out for me. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay, spiced rums is just a bunch of BS.
Yes.
Spiced and flavored rums are actually around 53% of the total rum market.
Whether Morgan?
Whether it's spiced rums, coconut, pineapple, or another flavored infusion, there are a variety of levels out there. When it comes to the handmade qualities of how they are made, many mass-produced manufacturers will use a neutral rum and flavoring additions to create sweet and fruity liquors.
I will say I'll at least grant that spiced rum is rum, where I will not grant you that Malibu coconut rum is rum.
Yeah.
It was actually doing research for the Malort episode that I found myself watching those, because it was a guy I can't remember his name for the life. I could find it if I looked, but he was going did a whole series like the worst bottles on my bar.
Oh,
and
he
was going through, it was Captain Morgan, Malort, and I can't remember the other. It was two spiced rums and Malort. And he was like, these are like the three worst bottles in his bar. And then in the end, he was like, no, the Malort is more enjoyable than any of the others. And then I can't remember. It was like, was it Kraken?
Probably
the
Kraken.
and the Malort, that he was just like, one just tastes like straight cherry cola, and the other one is so vanilla that he can't get over it. It's like vanilla perfume.
Yeah.
No, Wild Turkey. That's what he said was the
okay.
worst thing. He was
That
like,
makes
Wild
sense.
Turkey. He was like, it's so bad. He's like,
81 or
no,
the
just
101?
just the regular.
Man, Wild Turkey 101 has been hitting a resurgence in the bourbon community, though.
Oh yeah.
Like, they've been really picking up on that one as being like, oh, this is a steel bottle. It's got to be on every shelf. Like,
Oh, I know.
Not what I thought 5 years ago.
Old Granddad's kind of making a comeback too.
I called that one. No.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, Old Granddad's a sleeper hit 5 years ago whenever I started drinking the 114.
You
that
started stocking it before anyone was
Yes.
saying anything about it.
I bought a few
You haven't-
cases at the brewery actually a few years ago. Now we haven't went through it because we don't go through at the brewery a whole lot of Granddad, but no, we may be out of it almost. But either way, I actually
Casey, quit trying to calm down after concerts with old Granddad.
I know. I actually bought a case of the
Stop,
regular
ninja! Stop, ninja! Stop!
Old Granddad today, not the 114, but the regular.
Wow. Oh, God, old Granddad. Okay. So when it comes to spiced rums, you can make your own blend using blended aged rum, vanilla bean, orange peel, allspice, cinnamon, cloves, nutmeg, black pepper, ginger, and demerara sugar.
I feel like, Brittany, that thing, you were all on board for that until they said ginger.
I wish I was. I just can't.
I know it's fine. I just like as I'm going through, like, oh, these are flavors that I know most of us enjoy. And I saw ginger. Never mind, Brittany's out.
But you know what? You can mix and match however you want if you're making your own spiced rum.
Yeah.
It's true.
And if ginger's like really buried in there, then I can kind of get over it. Like, I mean, technically it's in pumpkin pie, but I'm not gonna stop eating pumpkin pie. You know, let's be
You
serious.
can. You're not going to miss anything. Your life will be better.
So these are the classic flavors of any spiced rum, and by letting them meld in your own bottle, you can craft a version with the perfect spice level, the good base rum. There are also some producers that use real fruit to make their own fruit-based rums. Plantation's pineapple rum is an excellent example of this.
So I just had an idea, which is I want to buy some just cheap, like, clear rum, and then start adding stuff to my own spices. To make my own spiced rum. But I was like, I do have this decanter that I don't really use, or not a decanter, but like the thing. It's like, how much I can load that thing in with that? Just kind of let it sit there, soak it in.
Mix the spices in the original bottle.
Yeah.
And then strain it and put it in the decanter. And you can be like, somebody comes over, what's that? Oh, it's my own house spiced rum.
It's my house spice. I'll call it melange. The spice must flow. God. Chris was about a half second faster than me on that one.
We both need beaten. Look, we went up for Dark Lord pickup. What did we do with it? It's like, oh, you two wild guys are off in the middle of beer heaven in Wisconsin, enjoying all your new Glarus and like basking. Like, now we're laying in a hotel room watching Dune.
Yeah.
What we're doing.
Yeah.
Because we're nerds. We're big fucking nerds.
And Dune is a fun movie.
All right. Plantation's pineapple rum is a tribute to the character created by Charles Dickens in the Pickwick Papers, Reverend Stiggins, whose favorite drink was pineapple rum. The barks of Victoria pineapples are infused in a blended, lightly aged rum, and then that infusion is redistilled. Separately, the pineapple fruit is infused in the plantation's dark rum. Both distillate and fruit infusion are then blended together, creating a rich and delicious pineapple bouquet, accented by smoky and clove notes, all created with pineapples for the flavor. My God, I want this drink.
When they say bark, are they talking about the part of a pineapple I think they're talking about?
The peel, pretty much.
Yeah, like that hard outer bit.
Yep, the green bits.
Well, sometimes it's brown. Because
golden, green, all that. Yep.
But not like the fleshy, meaty bits, but like that hard,
When they say the fruit, that's what goes in the dark rum. So they take the same pineapples. The bark will go in white rum. The fruit goes in dark rum. They will redistill the white rum because at that point it's been aged a year. It gets redistilled. It's still been aged a year technically. But it gets the bark out of it, but they leave the fruit in it. It like still sits on the fruit. So the fruit portion doesn't get redistilled. It just sort of gets like filtered out in the process.
That is shockingly like cognac.
Yeah.
Oh,
I want this so badly. Because I love pineapples.
Oh, it's delicious. I had it today in a daiquiri. I mean, it's not like, hit you in the face as a pineapple, but you get the aroma of an entire pineapple in it.
Oh man. Sorry, I just realized making what are they called? The pina coladas with.
No.
Yeah, it can be good. It's subtle, so like I would go classic, like real coconut type of pina colada. To get that. But yeah, definitely.
And it just makes me want to order a pina colada, and instead of being like, I want my mint slapped, be like, I want you to slap me in the face with a slice of pineapple.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Floating on top like a floaty in a pool.
Or just serve me my drink and then slap me in the face with a slice of pineapple.
The proper way to order the pina colada is you order it and then you go outside in the rain and get caught in the rain.
Right.
And cheat on your wife with your wife.
And wake up at midnight.
I'd wake up at midnight. Oof.
Or mistress. I don't know. Like, how does that work? Based on the song.
It was his lady.
His lady.
No.
Not even his wife.
Could be a girlfriend, could be
We just
be a mistress.
Um,
all I'm saying is that they're both the worst people.
So the last treatment of note is black rums. While this style was probably started to give the appearance of a very long-aged rum without that time in the barrel, today's black rums go beyond just a dark rum into its own category, which is noticeably black. In order to get this color, black molasses is added to the rum, which will darken the color, add in a molasses flavor, and increase its sweetness.
I'm just picturing squid ink.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like, whoa.
Except molasses has flavor and squid ink really doesn't.
No, it doesn't, unless you're chugging it for charity.
Unless you're throwing it up and the
Throwing it in
gold
a sake.
flakes. Or...
Does Kraken include squid ink in theirs?
I don't think so.
That would be
It
a
doesn't
huge
seem like
marketing
it's dark
gimmick.
enough.
Right? That's what I'm saying. I'm surprised someone's not doing it to make their
Oh, okay,
their
what's
stuff
the-
extra.
Who's milking the squids? That's kind of an expensive endeavor.
Yeah.
How much is squid ink versus?
I feel like a little dab will do you with squid ink.
So, let's get into cocktails. Speaking of,
Let's walk past that statement
Crazy
just
ingredients.
entirely.
so the Trinity: rum,
Not
lime,
that we know who to ask.
rum, lime, sugar. These are three of my favorite things, I think.
Spectacles, testicles, wallet, and watch.
Rum, being ubiquitous across the Caribbean and Central America, has a common theme in the preparation of drinks.
I was going to say, is this the Caribbean version of Guns, Germs, and Steel? I'm sorry. I'll see.
As you should. A classic combination is the holy trinity of rum, lime juice, and sugar. This is the primordial recipe of most other cocktails involving rum. The Cuban daiquiri, Brazilian caipirinha, and the Jamaican rum punch have all seen the same ingredient base. The classic ratio is somewhere around 2 parts white rum, 1 part simple syrup, and 1 part lime juice. The balance of the cocktail makes it obvious why it developed independently across so many rum cultures with access to citrus. If you were in a pinch, you could even count a grog in this category, as it would typically be rum and citrus juice. So we will get to the way we get to blended rum. Yeah, we will get to the way we get to blending of rums and Polynesian cultures and why that happened when it did in America in our next episode for this kind of two-parter. But for today, let's just enjoy a few classic cocktails from tiki history.
So, sorry, when we mentioned the rum punch, I became shocked that I can't find online that someone has not done a one punch man idea for a rum punch. And I'm like, I gotta figure out how to make
What is it to where like a single glass lays your ass out?
Exactly.
Isn't that just the 1 gallon challenge that's going around right now? Where they
I just discovered this is a thing that's happening. They have there's I was listening to a podcast and someone was talking about it. I'm just like, they're doing what?
Yeah, when you hear it laid out, you're like, what are they doing? You hear it and you're like, oh God.
Oh, because people are dumb. Yeah. So one key thing to notice is the complexity of tiki drinks. Most bars will not carry the expanse of various mixers and liquors needed to have a complete tiki menu. This is a major aspect that separates tiki bars from the rest. It's also why many bars have bastardized the classic tiki drink. If you have only experienced a Mai Tai in a bar and grill type establishment, you have likely missed out on the complexity this drink and others like it can bring.
Oh, yeah.
The tiki room music. God, just still killing.
We can't do that. No.
Tiki, tiki, tiki.
Yeah, I was gonna say, having been in that kind of restaurant serving people, Mai Tais, it is like, yeah, no, I just made a mix at the start of the day with like pineapple juice, sour mix, and orange juice, and just said, there you go, that plus some rum, and
You stirred it with a lobster tail and called it a day.
float something on top, and just be like, all right, there you go. Go with God, my child.
Lobster turds. That's what he floated on top.
So yes, I don't know how to say that second word, but the Mai Tai, which is
So-
also whatever that is.
Yeah, so the way I've kind of laid these out, because we do talk about here's why you don't get this drink in an Applebee's, because they don't have these specific ingredients and they're very specific to making the original cocktail.
Hmm.
So each one of these first few cocktails that we're going to talk about are inclusive of that one weird ingredient. But that
Mm.
one ingredient will probably show up in a lot of other cocktails from tiki culture. It's just they're very specific to tiki. And so the first one here is orgeat. Um, and you'll talk a little bit more about it. But orgeat is the first one that is very characteristic for the Mai Tai.
Okay. Yeah, so this cocktail is most likely one of the widest adoption in popular culture of the tiki cocktails, which is also why it may have one of the most debated origins of these drinks. Victor J. Bergeron of Trader Vic's fame is likely the creator of the Mai Tai in 1944. Don the Beachcomber, however, claimed he was the originator of the drink in 1933. This is probably a bit of a stretch because the drink he references isn't a true Mai Tai. It's most likely the QB Cooler.
I originally read that as DB Cooper.
Sure. I'm not surprised at all. Most current recipes for Mai Tais are based on Trader Vic's 1944 recipe, but it's currently nearly impossible to recreate that original version as it used a 17-year-old Ray and Nephew rum from Jamaica, which is now out of production and highly sought after in the vintage bottle market.
Oh.
Yeah, there are somewhere between 1 and 4 bottles of this rum left in the world, and the last time one was sold, it went for $55,000.
Oh, God.
I could see this being in Glass Onion as something that they're serving.
Right? Oh my gosh.
Yes, that's exactly it.
Oh, that movie.
Just like some crazy billionaire who's not really appreciating what he's doing. Like, yeah, I just wanted to make the most original Mai Tai.
But I mean, in very crazy rich person land, 55,000 for what?
It's not
probably-
much.
It's a
Yeah.
1 liter bottle, and so that's like what, 28 shots. You could make like probably somewhere around 14 Mai Tais.
Mm-hmm.
$55,000, 14 Mai Tais that are like special like that, one of a kind.
Whenever I hear
14 of a kind.
14 of a kind.
whenever I hear that spoken, I just hear Daniel Craig going, "It's just dumb."
That'd be a good sounder too, actually.
There are people that spend $1,000 for a shot of Pappy Van Winkle 23, one shot in a restaurant.
Yeah.
Wait. And was it 23? No, was it what all years do they do of Pappy? I know the 23 is the oldest. Did they do a 21? I can't remember off the top of my head.
Either.
I think it's 20.
20. I know it was one of the upper ones that we had. We were buying it by the ounce at Party Source.
Yeah.
Before for like it wasn't crazy. Well, I mean, it was kind of
Like 40 bucks.
It was like $20 an ounce, I think, is what we were doing, and we were throwing down $40 2 ounces.
Yeah.
And passing it around, and it's just I think about what you pay for that at a restaurant now, and I'm like, God.
Yeah.
Even then, though, Pappy was in it. Like, I guess it's not its highest heyday, but it was still like very sought after, and we were able to just stumble in to their whiskey bar that they've discontinued since, and be like, oh yeah, we'll pay $20 an ounce for this, and now you can't even do that.
Yeah.
I don't know,
Well,
me being crazy and old and reminiscing. Back in my day,
yeah.
Remember where you can get.
That's going to be a
Namba?
thing going forward a lot.
Are we going to be the people who were like, I remember when gasoline was under $1, and it's actually, I remember when Pappy was under 100.
See, the thing is, you said gasoline. It's like back in my day, gas was $4 a gallon. Because it
back
was
in high school when gas was $1.30 a gallon.
I remember that
not.
too.
in high. I'm just saying when I turned 16, gas was $4 over $4 a gallon.
Oh, I remember being in high school, and
Yeah, because
There was a shortage or something, like a war in the middle of Iraq or something. At
yeah,
some
we had
point
invaded Iraq.
that like increased prices, spiked them for a little while in between.
Sure.
let me say, I just remember throwing in for gas with Pat, and he was overcharging us to fill up his car when apparently that Buick Skylark took what, like $80 a week is what all of us were giving him for gas money until we're like, I don't think this is right.
It's a processing fee.
Yeah.
Apparently, it was his fee for taking us to page 3.
Yeah. All right.
All right, a modern take on that original recipe includes 3/4 ounce of lime juice, 1/4 ounce of
Orge.
orgeat, that word, syrup, 1/4 ounce of Mai Tai syrup, and 1/2 ounce of dry curacao. Oh, and 2 ounces of blended aged rum. So the shaker are shaken with ice and strained over fresh crushed ice, garnished with half of the lime used for its juice, and floated in the middle. Yeah, all right.
You in the middle.
The syrup, I can't say the word anymore. Orgeat syrup is more or less a simple syrup made with almond milk instead of water. Sure. Mai Tai syrup is a rich, simple syrup made with a 2-to-1 ratio of demerara sugar and water, then a few drops of vanilla extract and a pinch of salt. That would probably be yummy. The Mai Tai was introduced in Hawaii in 1953 when Bergeron created a cocktail menu for the Matson Company hotels. The Royal
Even I was picturing Tom Bergeron.
every time. The Royal Hawaiian Hotel and Moana Hotel. The cocktail became a hit and was called the Top Tourist Tantalizer in 1959. In the years thereafter, pineapple juice, orange juice, and dark rum float became commonly used in Mai Tais produced in Hawaii. Because
the
of
dark rum float.
because of the Hawaiian travel craze that happened once Hawaii became a state in 1959, it's this version that tourists brought back home with them, and thus this version has become the de facto Mai Tai in most bars, even though it lacks the complexity of the original cocktail. This is a common occurrence in tiki cocktail culture where the original gets watered down when it gets made in a normal bar. That's kind of like also when Americans get a hold of anything.
Well, also it's a cost thing.
Like a watered down version of everything.
Do you know how much I would not have wanted to sit down and try to make out almond syrup every day?
Oh yeah, no, I get that.
Luckily, you can buy it just in like normal little syrup bottles, and for the amounts that you normally use, it's okay. But if you're a big tiki bar that's typically doing this,
If I was doing a tiki bar, yes, that is.
oh no, I'm just saying like the amounts that they go through, it is much cheaper for them to get gallons of almond milk and make simple syrup from it.
Yeah. No. I just mean like I would be willing to do that there as opposed to
Oh yeah.
any other kind of bar. You're like, no, you'll get something close enough and you'll go away because you're going to like it because it has alcohol and you'll be fine.
And I mean, I'm not sure on the why these two hotels changed the cocktail or why the recipe changed over those 6 years. But, it very well could have been, hey, we have access to these ingredients. We didn't before. It's just what happens.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that this is kind of broken up the way it is because the Mai Tai is probably one of the most popular and most seen of all the tiki cocktails. And the rest of these kind of go together as being like, all right, you typically only see them inside of tiki restaurants and tiki bars. Planter's Punch features the allspice dram. So the Planter's Punch has a reference. It has a reference as early as 1694, actually. Although the recipe is slightly different from today's, the name references plantation owners and the drink that they may enjoy from the fruit of their land. It has 3 ounces of rum, an ounce of lime juice, 3/4 of an ounce of a demerara sugar syrup, and a dash of Angostura bitters. You combine that with a set of spices, and then in the modern version, the spices are actually replaced with St. Elizabeth's allspice dram. It's a liquor that is kind of rare to find in most cocktail lounges and bars, but you can find it in every single tiki bar out there. They've always got it. It's going to be shaken and strained over ice with a sprig of mint as the garnish.
I prefer it stirred.
Dr. Funk, we always shake our citrus-based drinks, Bob.
I know.
With the Dr. Funk also has a ton of other names. The Tiki Funk, there's a bunch of different ones out there.
I would
It,
call it Tiki Funkadelic.
if it had been a different time, it would have been
Yeah.
perfect. The name it actually comes from a German doctor, Bernard Funk, who is a friend and physician to Robert Louis Stevenson.
He had the
Um,
funk.
we got the funk. This drink was originally produced with absinthe, lime, and seltzer
Nope, take it back. He did not have the funk.
as early as the 1920s in the South Pacific. The cocktail made its way to two major tiki bars, but with some variation. As it was given some sort of health and restorative properties, it may have been claimed as a drink for any time of the day, which means you could get up and have a Dr. Funk in the morning. It was kind of like just having a Coca-Cola when it actually had cocaine in it.
The best part of waking up is absinthe in your cup. In your cup.
When drinking this, you will definitely get that absinthe flavor and taste. In today's version, lemon and lime juice, along with black rum, demerara sugar syrup, and a liquor called Herbicide, are all shaken and then strained over crushed ice, and then topped with seltzer.
Who else heard?
Herbicide.
Who else heard? He keeps hearing Hoobastank when he says Herbicide.
I'm not a perfect Is that one? That's not Hoobastank, is it?
Look, I only remember their name. I don't remember any of their songs.
New metal.
Look it up.
I don't remember.
Look it up and see if that's one of their songs. And if it is, I get a bonus have a drink point.
I don't want my search history.
Well, that's where you go into incognito mode and you turn on your VPN.
That's what I did when I wanted to try to get AI to generate a photo of trees jizzing earlier. I did not want that showing up in my. We were talking about pollen outside, and that was the conversation. Freddie was like, "Where was I?" For today's version of Dr. Funk, though, that Herbicide is going to be your replacement for absinthe. I didn't find this in the research. This is just my personal thoughts on it. Absinthe spent a little bit of time where it was banned in the United States. So
quite a lot of time.
Yeah. So it would make sense that if you can't find absinthe, you would switch over to something else that's very similar. And this Herbicide is a product of that, being created in New Orleans in the 1930s, and then maybe a little bit longer, right through Prohibition.
1 point to Drunkle Puff.
Drunkle Puff.
Was that a Hoobastank song?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Amazing.
I don't even. I'm not good at this
I've
game
never read
normally.
Harry Potter, but I am very proud of Drunkle Puff as a joke.
That's going to be my next beer name.
That's where. Oh, you're welcome.
We could do a series of like 4 normal house beers, and then the 5th one is the hidden house, Drunkle Puff.
Okay. I was gonna say, like, is there? I thought there were 4 houses from what I understood, but
Yeah.
Is there a hidden house?
Yeah, it's the house where all the party bros are. We've created a whole lore. It's
the
done now.
frat house.
It's Animal House.
It's Animal House.
Somehow in England they look over and there's a secret 5th house, and there's John Belushi there, just in a toga, going,
Dog!
Like the Sorting Hat puts you there, and they give you a bottle of Jack Daniels that you have to chug immediately and slam into someone's car.
You know how the Sorting Hat puts you there? Because you immediately filled it up with booze and are suddenly chugging out of it.
It's like a cop. You actually blow. It's like I detect the odor of alcohol coming from your breath. Please step out of the hat.
Or it's like, for some reason, everyone looked away and they look back, and whoever it is pissing into the hat, and they're like, Drunkle Puff.
Drunkle Puff. Like, that's our look.
Everyone's like, yeah.
This is how I would get into Harry Potter if there was a Drunkle Puff.
The adult years.
So that Herbicide, if you wanted to make a secondary item from it, there is a product that you can create where it's half Angostura bitters, half Herbicide or Herbicide, and it is called Herbstura. And so it's just a half and half blend. I mention that because it's actually used in the next cocktail that we're going to talk about, the zombie.
You say herb. They say herb. We say herb because of effing H.
Yeah, being New Orleans, like I don't know what they would say in French, but I would think it would be an H maybe.
No, if
herb,
it's French,
no
they
H?
would. If
Word.
it's eight, if it's French, you're just gonna start dropping sounds. Essentially, all French is just oh,
Or is it? There we
Also-
go.
Where are the rest? Why did you put all these letters here if you're not going to use them?
The zombie has a very long list of ingredients. It's about this point in writing the episode, I was like, nobody needs to know how many ounces anymore. We're just going to talk about the flavors that you're going to get in it. So
You
only
can search a zombie.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. You can find the recipe out there. Just here, let's give you the overview. Only at a tiki bar, though, would you find this long list of rums, juices, and specialized syrups that it takes to make this drink. First off, this drink is going to be strong. It comes in a tall glass of its own name that's kind of like a Collins glass, but it has even taller proportions. And lore says that this drink was created when the bartender was asked for a drink to cure a hangover before a businessman had an important meeting. When he came back from the meeting, the businessman said he felt like the living dead and it made a zombie out of him. So that's how the name came through. Alcoholic businessman.
What does Data have to say about it? If that was what Laura had to say.
Oh. The drink comes from 3 types of rums, or comes with three types of rums. You got about an ounce and a half each of the blended, aged, and column still rums, along with an ounce of black overproof rum. I put those in there because you need to know this comes with 4 ounces of rum. And one of those is like, when we talk about overproof rum, we're talking about what was Bacardi 151.
That's
So
not
an ounce.
That's not a hair of the dog that bit you. That is reliving the night before.
Oh, absolutely. That is no wonder it is called a zombie, because
What?
this drink is like 5 shots in one.
We don't need to make the one punch rum punch. It's just the zombie.
It's the zombie.
It exists. It just has a different name.
So a lot of times what you'll see used is the Plantation's OFTD. I think it's 131 proof, 100 and something like that. Like it's up there. It's huge. So with that, you will add fresh lime juice, grapefruit juice, cinnamon syrup, a couple dashes of that herb stirrer that we talked about earlier, and a low proof spirit called Velvet Falernum. And this one's a really important one in most tiki bars. Falernum is common in tiki bars. The classic bottle is John D. Taylor's Velvet Falernum, and it comes out to only about 11% alcohol. You can almost think of it more of as a flavored sweetener and liquor, but not really a liquor by itself.
It's a sweet version of bitters is what I'm hearing.
Yes, that's very much it. You can use a little bit more because it's not super bitter. It's just sweet with all the other additional flavors there.
It's sweet, but it's also alcoholic.
Yeah, just slightly. The flavors of lime, clove, nutmeg, cinnamon, cardamom, and lemon thyme are all really prominent. Well, I say really prominent. It is a very lightly flavored. Like you don't get a ton of these flavors in it. It's not like the dasher of Angostura bitters in the fact that you get hit with just 1 drop. You need to use, half an ounce, quarter ounce, something like that in a drink to get a good amount into it.
I'm picturing now the Flavor Rangers when they say it's lemon time.
Oh, I want those tiki drinks, the cups, because they have some with the Power Rangers on them.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I want those so bad. And then we need to have a party with them.
Mm-hmm.
Like all dress as Power Rangers and run around the neighborhood. It'll be awesome.
Can I have a oh my god, why am I blanking? The Richard Horvitz.
Oh, Alpha 5.
Alpha 5, yeah.
Yeah, that's what he said. Yeah.
Have you all seen the trailer for the new one?
I have.
Oh, because it's the original Rangers.
Yeah.
But like 2 of them are dead.
Except
Well,
Tommy.
And they're dead.
And Trini. She's also dead.
I didn't know
No
she
wonder
didn't
she
realize.
wasn't in there.
Yeah. She died years ago.
That's why I
Aw.
really like it, because they're like, no, we're not recasting them. Like they're just dead. Like they're gone. They gone.
It's a shame. It's a shame he did die. He'd have been great to have in that.
Oh,
Oh,
my
yeah.
god. Yeah.
In fairness, he's gone back to the Ranger well more times than anyone else.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like full on whole other shows where he's like, no, I'm also a Ranger in this now. You're 40 to the rest of them. It's fine. I still have attitude, even if I'm not a teenager.
I remember the day they revealed the White Ranger.
Oh my
yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Your
I
life
remember
changed.
it was. I remember where I was and what I was doing that day.
I vividly remember when the Green Ranger gave up his powers to the Red Ranger.
Mhm.
Mhm.
In a couple of episodes, the Red Ranger wearing the Green Ranger like chest shield.
I vividly remember going over to my rich friend's house because he had all of the Zords. He had the whole thing that
Yes.
would combine together.
I only had Lord Zed. Like the only I think I only had I had one toy of like the pre-combined Zords, and then I had the original Megazord, and then Lord Zed's big dragon.
Yeah, you were
Zord
like
thing.
me. You had the pre-combined thing where like the feet fired out.
Yes, like the
Or-
fists came off or something. Yeah.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he had the one where they were like the fully articulate separate things that all connect together to make the
Yep.
gigantic one.
God.
And then when I would go over there specifically to play with it, he would hide it to try and keep it from me.
If we retitled these things, this would 100% be called Member Berries.
Oh yeah, the member
Seems like
berries are right.
Here's another one for you, Bob.
Oh.
When he says that, I just want to say, rich people.
Rich people.
All right. So the next two drinks, the last two drinks that we're going to talk about, I know you're welcome, are really only here because of the stories behind them. I didn't think we would get these in the next episode that really talks about the history of tiki, but I think they're important to talk about in their own right. 3 Dots and a Dash, very classic tiki cocktail created by Don the Beachcomber, one of the original two, him and Trader Vic, the original two tiki guys that really created tiki culture. In World War II, this drink is named after the Morse code for victory. So 3 dots and a dash. The drink features 1.5 ounces of some funky Martinique style rums. We didn't really get into them. This is a good place to talk about Martinique style agricole rums. But those are super funky, a lot of like weird, odd flavors. They are another one of those fresh cane juice rums. So they're going to be more driven by the terroir of the region.
3 dots and a dash is Morse code for just V, but that would have been the
V for
code
victory.
for V for victory. Yeah.
Yep.
Sorry, I was like that can't be. It cannot be 3 dots and a dash is an entire word. That's not how Morse code works.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. Unless, who knows? I mean, if SOS was set up as 3, like come and get
Well,
my
SOS is like
save our ship
9
or something like
is
that.
SOS is like nine things.
Right. Sorry, saying that. Set up as 3 letters as like something as important as an emergency. Instead of saying dial 911, it's like 911. It's like, hey, dial this 12-digit number.
It is a lot, but it is also very easy to remember. So
yeah, that makes sense though why victory wouldn't have its own.
Yeah.
You're going to add to this Martinique style rum, 1/2 ounce of a blended rum, and this just helps round it out because it is super funky, even in a drink like this. So you're going to shake it with 1/2 ounce each of lime juice, orange juice, and honey, a honey simple syrup, and then a dash of Angostura bitters and 1/4 ounce each of Velvet Falernum and allspice liqueur. Some of those other classic liquors that we've talked about. You're going to strain it over fresh crushed ice, garnish it, and this is the most important part if you're going to make this drink, to be completely honest, is the garnish, because it's a rectangle piece of pineapple, the dash, and 3 cherries on a skewer, which are the dots.
See, when I was thinking about like the pineapples earlier, I was thinking about, you know what? Where I'm doing like an actual pineapple garnish that I want people to eat, I just completely shave off the what I now know is called the bark off the edges, and then do my cutting from there, or maybe, but yeah, because it's a handy handle, I guess, for eating, but no, just pop the whole thing in your mouth. Don't worry about dying.
That statement right there just made me think of a Reddit thread on the bartenders Reddit that's now canon, where it's talking about a guy on a Las Vegas Strip casino bar, and he's like, "Oh, I cut all of the pith out of my limes before I give them to my customer," and everybody like gives him crap about it from now. Like it's now a meme in the
Yeah.
bartender subculture.
No, I wouldn't quite go that far. This was just like a thing. If I was going to be like doing a rectangle like this, then yeah,
Yep.
no, I'd 100% just like I'd have like a whole selection that's just like, all right, just shave the edges off when you're cutting.
Just a little snack. The other drink that's really important to the culture, it may not necessarily be strictly tiki because it's not super complex. You can probably get this in most bars, actually,
Yeah.
except for maybe the one garnish on it. But it's the painkiller. So the original painkiller was created most likely in the 1970s at the Soggy Dollar Bar at White Bay on the Isle of Jost Van Dyke in the British Virgin Islands. 1970s is important, and we'll talk a little bit more about this in our next episode where we talk about the history of tiki. But this is post the second. This is in the second tiki resurgence, or a little bit before it even. So really, the painkiller probably wouldn't even be considered a classic tiki drink because it's not in the pre Vietnam War era, and that's really important in how you approach tiki drinks here. But it has moved into tiki culture somewhat. The inventor may have been Daphne Henderson or George and Mare Merrick, the previous owner of the Soggy Dollar. It was originally made using Cruzan rum. So fairly, at that time, probably mainstream, easy to get rum. In 1989, Pusar's Limited filed a U.S. trademark on the painkiller's name and recipe. And when a tiki bar named Painkiller opened in the Lower East Side of New York City in May of 2011, Pusar's actually sent a cease and desist to them. And the owners actually had to go and do a court or an out of court settlement with Pusar's. Because they were selling rum drinks called the Painkiller first and weren't using Pusar as the brand. And number two, they were dealing with the name issues of the actual band, the actual brand. What ended up happening was they got renamed to PKNY in the agreement. And then in response to the news of this happening, numerous bartenders organized a boycott against Pusar's altogether.
Yeah, I would do that. But yeah, screw those
Now-
guys.
Now, I was on a Royal Caribbean cruise a year or so ago, and I was not aware of this at the time, but I do recall it. First off, Pusar's to me looks like a cheap bottle of the barrel type of rum. It looks like a lower shelf rum, but it was set like, here's 75 bottles across all our shelf. Like, we are using this as decoration, not just where we get the liquor from of Pusar's rum. I was like, that's got to be something. And now I know it's because the painkiller is such a big deal. To make a painkiller, it's pretty easy. 2 ounces of Pusar's rum, 4 ounces of pineapple juice. We all got that laying around. 1 ounce each of orange juice and cream of coconut. The cream of coconut's actually pretty important. It's not the same as coconut cream. Learned a little something when looking at that stuff. So be sure to select the correct option when you're at the store. Or find the recipe where you can make cream of coconut from coconut cream by basically adding sugar to it. You want to shake the drink with ice and strain it over fresh ice, and then grate fresh nutmeg on the very top to finish the drink with a unique aroma. That nutmeg aroma really like sets it apart when making this drink.
Look, I can just tell you right now, there's a huge difference between the two. One's where you're milking in the coconut from its little teeth. The other one is involving jerking it off. So,
that coconut creaming.
Oh,
Can we cut that?
As the script says on that, Finn.
Whew. That was an in-depth episode. I think
Big and meaty, and I love it when we have big meaty episodes like this. And I
thick.
learned so much about something that I didn't think had that much. It's one of those. This is really one of those things where you don't know what you don't know until you really dive into it.
I think our last episode of Rum, and I intentionally did not go listen to it because I wanted to be fresh on this one. I didn't want any like preconceived patterns. but I'm almost positive memory serves. It was like, oh, we're talking about gold, silver, and black and
Um,
spiced rums. Like that
Yeah.
was pretty much it.
Yeah, I was gonna say like this got very heavy on the rum end of it for the half of what is essentially a two-parter.
But it
Yeah.
needed to happen.
It did, but what I was gonna say was like this gave us a lot more knowledge on rum than we had before, and I was like, it's really cool.
And it's kind of the primer. Like in the next episode, when we talk about tiki bars and what's going on, we'll be talking a little about what they're serving and what the kind of like the culture behind really how it moves. And knowing that a Martinique rum is going to be different from a Jamaican rum makes a lot of sense when you're thinking about how these people are kind of stocking their bars and what they're getting.
It does also mean I have time to go buy my Hawaiian shirts.
Woohoo! I did buy a custom made Hawaiian shirt on Etsy, and I can say, like, I'm not promoting any particular vendor, but it turned out a lot better than I expected.
If you find somewhere that has tall sizes, let me know.
Well, they're all made in China at some point, so those factories have like 75 different American sizes, I'm sure.
They need to make them in tall, damn it.
That's
All
one of
right.
the 75.
Well, what are we drinking tonight, Brittany?
So should I use the topic bumper instead since I missed him up?
We'll just do Muscatel again. Come on.
Sparkling Muscatel, one of the finest wines of Idaho.
Would you taste it for us, please?
Ooh. Excellent choice.
Should be for 95 cents.
We need to get another clip of the would you like to smell the cap?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's
I'll never get over it, but it is a very visual gag as well because
I can picture
wearing
it every
those-
time. Yeah.
He's wearing those tiny shorts.
yeah, he's wearing the short shorts with that, the like button up tie with a bow tie.
Anyone who thinks the Muppets or says the Muppets are out of date is just an ass hat and has never actually watched any of it.
Mm-hmm.
I maintain.
If you
All
don't
right.
enjoy the Muppets, there's something wrong with your soul.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
Okay.
what do you
Anywho,
guys drink?
We started off with this beautiful Sam Adams Bourbon Barrel Double Bock. This is one of those things from where we're incredibly spoiled in the city of Cincinnati. And one of the things that spoils us is the Sam Adams Cincinnati Tap Room. And they love to deliver us these beautiful, unique bottlings. And this was for box season, which is, if you're unaware, early spring is typically box season here in Cincinnati, where, hey, if you missed the Bach episode, we have Bach Fest. It's, I think, pretty much the only Bach festival in the world,
Mm-hmm.
to where come hell, high water, or
Goat disease.
infectious diseases, they're gonna have it. That's like this past year.
The goats must be appeased.
Bad storms rolled through the area, so they canceled the parade officially, and then everyone to do with the parade said, fuck it, we're doing it live. And they just
Oh my goodness.
got out in the street and did it anyways. They're like, no, screw traffic, we're still doing. Like, they got out the 1.5 story wooden goat, and they're like, no, we're doing it. Drunk in the street, and I was like, all right.
yeah.
But yeah, this is lager aged in bourbon barrels, 11.8% ABV, a nice big bomber. I'm trying to read it off this tiny, holofoiled bottle label. They're like, the long-awaited spring is almost here, and there's no better way to celebrate than with our bourbon barrel double bock. This, not doppelbock, double bock. This rich, malty German, and then they say doppelbock, even though the label says double, is aged in bourbon barrels for 10 months, giving it rich depth of flavor that's guaranteed to wake you from hibernation.
Well, how they do? Did it live up to that hype?
All I know is it's been hanging out with me for like at least a couple of years. I am unsure, and nowhere on this does it. Can I find an age?
It's still good though.
Yeah, it was good. It was very, very sweet.
Yeah.
But from something bourbon barrel aged, that's what I expect.
Yeah. Well, I also figure maybe some of your other flavors might have fallen off a little bit, but
Yeah, very malty and sweet. I mean, very caramelly, and
It's not hugely complex
Mhm.
like you'd think it would be, I guess.
I would almost call it barley wine esque.
That's kind of what I was expecting when you said it was going to be
Little
Yeah,
old, little long in the tooth. Anyway, after that, I went with my lighter option because this episode ran a little long, and I had a nice Hefeweizen. That's just a 5.4% from 50 West. And I was like, you know what? We need something to start relaxing the palate towards bedtime.
half your Weizen.
Do it. But yeah, I followed up with some nice banana and clove, and then like lemon. I had a lemon cream covered donut. Also.
Those donuts are so amazing.
And with the Hefeweizen, I'm just like, oh yes, that oh yeah, that's
just wheat on wheat.
Mm.
Yo, dog,
Wheat.
I heard.
Wheat.
Yo, dog, I heard you like barley.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway,
I have been drinking the Appleton Estates signature blend. I didn't have time to make a cocktail, and the only lime juice I had in the house was 2 years old.
Ah.
Well, sorry, that's not correct. 2 years out of date.
at least you didn't have limes in the fridge you could comb.
Oh my
I
God,
saw
it happened like once.
I saw it and I just went, "Oh, how are you?" Ooh, nope. I thought I had like bought new ones since then, and I was wrong. It is admittedly the fridge of two bachelors living in an apartment.
If it had lime juice, there would be questions.
No, there wouldn't be questions if you looked in my room and like, well, that is a liquor shelf.
The one thing that did I talk to you all about Slooper juice?
What?
Slooper juice?
Slooper juice. Slimmin' and Slime?
No.
I'm more and more confused as you talk.
I thought we talked about this last time. Okay.
I was drunk at the time.
It's on the moon.
I've been experimenting with something called Slooper juice from a bartender who actually invented this, and he is in
Is it
Louisville,
heroin?
Kentucky.
Is it meth? Have you been doing meth, Casey?
So we need to go to this bar first off. I don't care. Let's just go, pick a time and go. We'll do a show from there, whatever. But we need to go because I think it would be interesting to go. It's in downtown Louisville. But this guy created, you know how you juice fresh limes and then a day later, maybe even half the day later, it tastes bitter, tastes horrible, right? So it's got like this bad, bitter flavor to it. It's because limes have three main acids in them. Two of them are good. One of them oxidizes into this bitter compound. What this guy has done is create a process where you can take the acids by themselves as crystalline form, sprinkle them over top of the shaved off peels of the lime. So you're getting like this oleosaccharin, but it's really not sugar and oil. It's oil plus acid, so it's a little weird one. But you take that, blend it up, let it meld for about a day, strain it. It is lime juice or tastes just like lime juice that will last you over a month without
you have talked about this. I just don't remember if it was during the show or during just us talking around.
Okay. So really, and of all the things, like this is probably the best show to do it on because we talk about all these lime forward drinks. But if you have not Slimmin' or Slime or Super Lemon Juice or Super Lime Juice, look it up. It is this crazy cool thing that lets you basically buy limes once a month and have lime juice in your fridge for the entire month. Fresh, tasty lime juice the entire time.
I'm just picturing Slimer now. Yeah, I can't get the voice quite right for Slimer for like the cartoon. So.
I'm on board with this just because limes. But...
Is it just Slimer like jizzing into martini glasses?
So
It is not.
it's not only the length of time, but you also get 4 times the juice out of the limes. And
Wow.
and you can still use the limes. Like, you're just using the peels that you would normally not use. So you can still juice the limes. Right now I've got 25 limes and lemons in my fridge that I need to still like juice because I've taken their pills.
Anyway, this
Wow.
this rum I'm drinking is it's pretty nice. It's got like some nice vanilla and kind of well, it's got a little bit of an alcohol burn. It's a little more neutral than I would kind of prefer, but it's still pretty solid. It's got a slight wood character, but yeah, it's pretty good.
Is there an age statement on that one?
No,
Oh, okay.
it is cheap, like the cheapest version Appleton will do.
So yeah, that's like Appleton's been like changing up their packaging recently too.
This is
Um,
also an old bottle that I happen to see. So
I haven't seen the new packaging. I was a fan of the old packaging.
Yeah. The newer one has a little bit more like paper label effect to it, like real, like I think the old ones had sort of like coated color to them, but the new ones are like natural color paper and, look kind of like the bottle shape's pretty cool. It maintains some of the same like curves, but um, I don't, I think they call it signature now. I think that's probably what it's been called for a while.
mhm.
But it's got a little bit more upscale look.
What are you drinking, Casey?
I'm on a plantation rum. I'm on a kind of a one-off.
Racist.
Yeah, no. They're French,
That
and it's not
doesn't
what's
make it
normally here.
There's still white people who owned other people, Casey. This is not making it better.
Listen, plantation rums, I have a special place for, not because of the name,
I
but
know.
because the spread that they've got. There are 4 rums that they produce. There's a 3-star rum. That's what I thought you had earlier, but it's a 3-star white rum, the dark rum, the pineapple rum, and the overproof rum that they make that are like excellent rums and also very inexpensive. And
Mhm.
so I'm on board with those. But this one is a kind of a one-off run. They do a bunch of like really specialty rums. This one's a one-off that wasn't super specialty, wasn't short release, but was also like a little different. And that's because it's a 100% pot still rum. So I was able to get something with a lot of pot still flavor to it, a lot of pot still character. Number 2, it's Jamaican. And number 3, it is a dry rum, which means there's no sugar added after it was originally made.
What about when it got to the Bahamas?
So
Or it came on Pretty Mamas.
it spent 1 to 3 years in Jamaica, and then spent the last year of its life actually in France,
In Kokomo.
aging in France. So it's semi, Caribbean in its aging.
Mhm.
But the coolest thing about this one is it probably, I don't know if they use the dunder pits, but it comes across with that very strong, like burnt banana, or like not burnt, but like blackened banana flavor. It comes across with like some funk to it that is characteristic of Jamaican rums, which is really cool.
Who runs Banana Town?
Like when you think about the Dr. Funk or the the really like odd drinks out there, this one would be one for it because it brings it.
Parliament Drunkadelic.
So yours, the Appleton is a Jamaican rum.
It is a Jamaican rum. Yeah.
But it may not be getting the same funkiness to it.
I don't think it has quite the same. It has closer to like a whiskey quality than it has anything else. So like a
Okay.
lot of like a wood barrel aged anything else.
Which they may be steering away from that because like I said, it's very like odd. So not everybody likes it.
Yeah.
And Appleton definitely wants to sell as much as they can.
Yeah, they're casting a wide net.
Yep. Unoffensive,
Mhm.
but tasty.
Yeah. Well, today's episode was written by one Castandial Price.
Sure.
No, Casey wrote today's episode. I don't know where you got the sources from.
Um,
Maybe out
num-
just off the top of the dome. I don't know.
Number one source was I went to all the like major manufacturers' websites, but number one source was a book by Martin Cate called The Smuggler's Cove. Classic cocktails. It'll also be where we get a lot of the history from, but it goes through a lot of the here's how it was when it was first invented. Here's how it should be given today's climate.
Okay.
I want to be like, oh, the primary source, and it escapes me. What's the one source for like everything we know about pirates?
Oh, bollocks. I know kind of what you're talking about, and I can't think of what it's called now.
There's like one historical document that even the legitimacy of it is called into question, but it's basically how we know anything about any big name pirates.
Weird tangent before we get out of here because we mentioned pirates. Do you know where the ARG comes from?
Do not know.
It is a 1920s Hollywood movie. I'm trying to think. It's because it's not Treasure Island, which is what you would assume for a pirate thing. It's where is it at?
Hailstorm. No.
But it is. I'm trying to think of the name of it because it's like no, well, it originates from like one single movie in the 20s that everyone since then has been referencing. 20s or 30s, but yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's close this out.
Guess that's me. That feels odd because I'm usually the last in any lineup. But you can subscribe and get some great resources at haveadrinkshow.com. Follow us at Have a Drink Show on social media and twitch.tv.
We do sort of a palindrome where you start it and then we work our way back and then we do our regular ending. Anyway, you can tell us your favorite drink, ask a question, or just leave some general feedback. You can use the email address feedback@haveadrinkshow.com. You can also use the feedback page on the website. Or you can leave your messages with Tiki. My personal Tiki. He will take the message. Casey will be very upset that he is still acting as my messenger, but
He always tells me to shut them up.
it's a joke for one other person who I don't think listens.
It's a joke from college from them.
Yep.
All joking and fun aside, I'd like to remind everyone to please drink responsibly.
All right. And you can check us out in another couple of weeks for the next episode. And remember to check out our Patreon, patreon.com/haveadrinkshow, and also haveadrinkstore.com. Once again, I'm Brittany Lee Walker.
I'm Justin Frazier.
I'm Christopher Walker.
And I'm Case Price. We shall see you next time.
Bye, guys.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.